Today, we are introducing the cannibal legend and the related real incidents. In 1878, Alberta, Canada, experienced a long winter that had not been seen for decades. Along with the winter came a horror. A man killed his wife and 6 children because of starvation and ate their bodies. The wreckage left by the victims was broken. Their arm and leg bones were knocked open, and the marrow inside was sucked clean. The crime scene was tragic. What's even more bizarre is that when the police interrogated the man, they found that there was a large food supply station 25 miles away from his home, so he had enough time to get enough food for the whole family to spend the winter. The man never ate for starvation, and after 27 years in detention, Canadian authorities characterized the incident as a Wendigo psychopath and quickly executed him. According to local rumors, the reason why the man would eat his whole family was because he was possessed by evil spirits. If he continued to eat people, he would completely transform into a monster called Wendigo. The murder case shook Canada and made the ancient legend of Wendigo even more confusing. Canada is a place rich in mysterious events, especially in the area bordering Alaska, where there are often some bizarre monster sightings. The most famous of these is Wendigo. Wendigo is a word that originated from the legends of the Aboriginal people in North America and Canada. The translation is the devil of gluttony. True to his name, Wendigo is a monster cursed to perpetually starve. They are very gluttonous and especially like to eat human flesh. They usually only wake up in the long and cold winter, and once they wake up, they will hunt and kill humans everywhere. Legend has it that this demonic creature has a very high IQ. He will imitate people's cry for help to lure prey and will hide under the bed waiting for humans to fall asleep. During the 17th and 18th centuries, when locals went missing during the winter, it was often associated with the Wendigo attack. Legends of this monster cover a wide range of areas, from North America to Canada, and even to parts of the United Kingdom. There are at least 3 forms of Wendigo in known descriptions. The first is a gigantic troll. It is 4 to 5 meters tall. Its mouth is full of fangs. It makes a harsh sound when it breathes. Its strength is infinite, and the more it eats, the bigger it is. Basically, we can think of it as an enhanced version of Bigfoot. The second is a corpse-like creature. This form is about 2.5 meters tall, with pale skin and an aura of death and decay. It sounds like a mutated zombie. The third is believed to be the true form of Wendigo, a gigantic demon with a deer head and a rotting body. Because deer-headed and sheep-headed humanoid creatures are extremely ominous in Western culture, the deer-headed Wendigo is also the most widely spread horrific image. The Wendigo legend has been deeply rooted in people's minds since the 17th century and has been active in various horror cultures until now. Therefore, in addition to these 3 forms, there are also many works describing such creatures. For example, the one that appears in the game, the one that appears in the movie, the one that looks like an alien, the one that looks like a chimpanzee at all, and the one with all 3 kinds of characteristics combined. No matter how different Wendigo's image is in various legends, there are a few characteristics that are always the same. The first is his insatiable appetite, which always accompanies winter. The second is that they have some kind of supernatural ability to affect the human mind. The last point is that most of the Wendigos evolved from humans. In Aboriginal legends, Wendigo possesses a terrifying ability to possess humans. The possessed person will emit a strange smell that only he can smell in the early stage, and then he will have symptoms such as inability to sleep, extreme depression, and so on. Then comes a strange burning sensation all over the body. This kind of feeling will make people extremely crazy, and eventually they will strip and walk into the deep snow alone. When he came back, he was no longer human. An unprecedented hunger would take over all his thoughts, followed by an irresistible desire for human flesh. When he keeps killing people around him and eating their bodies, he will gradually transform into a real Wendigo. Wendigo's ability to possess is the most important part of this legend, and it also cast a shadow over Canada and North America throughout the 17th century. But is the Wendigo legend real or just a made-up story? It is easy for people to associate mental illness with evil spirit possession. Wendigo psychosis is such a disease that actually existed at the time. The Wendigo psychopath case in 1878 was related to Wendigo mental illness. What's more, since 1661, there have been more than 70 cases of Wendigo's mental illness in Canada, and more than 40 of them have eaten human flesh. These patients have more or fewer symptoms of Wendigo possession, such as excitement and violence, and a strong desire to eat meat. This massive phenomenon of Wendigo psychosis also sparked a heated debate among Western psychologists in the 1980s. Many researchers believe that Wendigo psychosis itself is a made-up disorder, the result of exaggerating the myth. However, through the large number of cases recorded in history and the behavior of patients, it seems impossible to directly deny the existence of this disease. The reason why the legend of Wendigo has been passed down to the present is also directly related to these large numbers of cases. The Wendigo legend and Wendigo psychosis are interconnected, and it's hard to tell which comes first and which comes last. So far, there are two most convincing explanations for the origin of the Wendigo legend. The first is that in polar regions where the climate is extremely cold, indigenous people sometimes have to choose to eat people to save their lives. After regaining his senses, he finally created the demon Wendigo to appease his guilt in order to rationalize his crazy behavior. The second is that this myth was created to persuade people not to give up the bottom line and use intimidation to stop cannibalism. After all, no one wants to truly become a monster. Although the truth has been covered up as days pass by, it is certain that behind this legend, countless horrific tragedies have occurred during a dark period stricken by famine and coldness. In 1907, a tribe chief was sentenced to death for the murder of a woman. His reason for the killing was that the woman was transforming into Wendigo, and before that, he had executed at least 13 people who had become or were becoming Wendigo. From this incident, we can see that in that crazy era, whether the legend is true or false, it is equally terrifying. In fact, the scariest thing behind that is either the monster itself or the changed human heart. The monster Wendigo may exist because in the extreme and crazy living environment, nobody can guarantee that the last kindness in humanity will be kept. And once the bottom line of humanity is crossed, the demon that lives in the heart will definitely return to the world. This is Horror Mysteries. Enjoy and subscribe to know more mysteries around the world.